welcome to Tux TV. I'm your host, Jimmy Tux. I got B.S. Lewis as co-host tonight.
Hey, yo, what's up?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
I hear you were slightly sober, and now you're sober.
Yeah, I'm still working off a hangover from the weekend.
Oh,
so
nice.
A toss I got.
That's fantastic. What have you been up to?
I'll give you the backstory. So I went over on the Shaken Fists Sunday, and we reviewed the original of this video. Then I saw that Mindshift reviewed this video as well, and now here we are. Me and Tux reviewing Mindshift, reviewing this video that me and Shaken Fist already reviewed. And so it all comes for us full circle.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But this time you get a sober BS because Zach did not get a sober BS.
Somebody gave Alpha some hearts just now. That's because Alpha needs lots of love. We love.
A whole lot of love.
Lots of beating hearts over here, Alpha. Hey, Jeb.
say it out loud. Yeah, say it out loud. All fluently and everything, just say it.
Metro Goldemeyer. It is actually the loudness of it. Is it Minecraft trailer reaction stream? Mindshift. Did my spell correct say? Now I'm curious. Did spell check? Nope.
You're on it right. He's just messing with you.
Oh, phew.
That Catholic sense of humor is so dry, it's hard to tell sometimes.
Hi, Trusty Ape. It's good to see everyone here. Thanks for stopping by. Let's do a little bit of review. Is there any place you want me to skip to? Like, I've only watched it once, and I think I started to watch it again, and I was like, well, maybe I'll do a review of this.
This should be your call because I know that Brandon did a number on it. He did almost an hour-long video on this one, didn't he?
It's almost an hour. Yeah. So did you get to a certain spot in Shaken Fist? And
we finished the whole thing, but if you want me to I give you a fresh take where I don't remember stuff, just go towards later and later. Because I remember the beginning of the stream. Towards the end, it's a little fuzzy.
Yeah. All right. Let's make sure that I've got audio.
Abstract level of apologetics that I thought just completely failed. And now we're going to be doing it with one of, I think, the biggest problems for the Christian faith. I made sure not to watch this yet. I have no idea how he's going to attack this. I am here for it, though. I hope you guys are excited. Let's dive in.
We give God a lot of heat for creating a world with so much evil and suffering.
Sandal says it's fine. Thank you, Sandal.
And then allowing it all to happen. But I would bet if you were to create your own little world, you would have made it the exact same way, and you wouldn't want it any other way. Now, bear with me here on a little bit.
I suspect that
I think he's
would make up with a lot more horns involved.
He's giving us way too much credit, right? He's like, yeah, there would be a lot more dicks everywhere. It would be like walking into a construction porta potty or something.
An analogy.
That's funny. Let's see. Nope, I don't like that one either. Well, I guess that's the best view.
Like, if you zoomed yourself, that'd be the best view. Then we get to see that handsome face of yours.
My handsome face? Oh, and my lovely locks?
Yeah.
Sounds bueno. Trusty Ape says he's speaking half Spanish. That's funny. Give him credit where it's due. Lots more dicks. I'm surprised that there would be a little more crap and a little more horns and a little more dicks.
Yeah. Just I don't know. I can't really add to that. You pretty much nailed my motif.
And I promise it'll all come together in the end.
It's quite the bold statement that once we understand whatever it is he's going to explain to us, we'll see that we would have done it the exact same way. Now, don't click off this video because I'm really curious to see where we're going to go.
Well, that was fun, folks. Gotta go.
Yeah, that's the video
here. But I'll say that I've already answered this in extreme detail. In fact, 79 examples in this video here. And it didn't take long to come up with those 79.
We could do the 79 video instead.
I'm just along for the ride. Whatever you want.
Yeah. Let's see. We don't have to watch this part of it, but there is a part that I want to get to. Let's go into. Yeah, let's go here.
Absolute control over every aspect of this planet, from time and space down to the tiniest little detail. And absolute control over every bot in it. Now, in this first world, every single bot was pre-programmed with the thousands of protocols now perfected to do good and avoid evil. So in other words, every single bot was incapable of making any wrong choices and only able to make right ones. Now, what do you think we would observe in this first world? Well, it was the perfect world. Every bot did exactly what it was programmed to do, and the protocols worked perfectly. They advanced incredibly fast and learned how to provide for themselves and for each other, and not one bot was in need.
Okay, can you imagine this kind of world? Mountain Dew.
Yeah, I think he's just forgetting that Calvinist thing. Like he's like trying to make it look bad about the deterministic world, but there's a large swath of Christianity that don't think we have free will, and it's still shit. So
yeah. What when you think of the perfect world like this reminds me of Thurman Tree's video in which he was talking. He tells a story about a robot that was programmed to go get a substance that they needed to prepare something. And he goes down there, but his programming won't allow him to get damaged. So when he gets close to where it is he's supposed to retrieve whatever chemical he's supposed to retrieve, there is also another subchemical that is detrimental to his existence, in which he runs in circles trying to complete his mission, but at the same time is also programmed to not be affected by what is affecting him. And so he runs in circles, gets out of the danger, comes back to where he's trying to go, and he's in danger, so he runs away, and it just runs in a continuous circle. And when his programmers find him, they admit that they're the ones that made the mistake. He was just following his programming. And where is the responsibility key to this God that would accept the fault that you did as you were programmed, for instance. And it just seems like in the Adam and Eve story, there is that moment in which if you were programmed to do X, you did X. That X being you listened to somebody that told you true information, and that programming was already put there in your controlled environment, then there is a culpability from the programmer.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, it always baffles me when they go to free will as a excuse or a way to get out of it, because a lot of them also consider that the only way that they could have exercised their free will was to directly disobey God. And that free will is a necessary component. It's like the chemical you're talking about in the story, where one of the commandments is operate under free will, and the other one is don't piss off God. But the only way to operate under free will is to piss off God. And so they're going to be running around in circles, like your robot example from Thurman Tree.
Like the robot example. Yeah. You'll just be running around in a circle. Don't do this. You can't do this. Don't do this. You can't do this. And you run in a circle of do this. I can't do this. And protection and the mess that it creates.
And since they were incapable of making
I was just going to say, he's probably going to talk about it later. I'll just bring it up because he hasn't even got to free will yet.
There were no wars, no poverty, no oppression, and no evil, and no suffering. The world was all very clean, shiny, peaceful, prosperous, well-ordered, super advanced, and boring.
This is disappointing. Now, again, the video's not over. This is his first main point that he's making. But in this example world where creators created their beings, their bots, to be perfect and never do anything wrong, his first big disagreement is that it's boring. And by the way, as stupid as this sounds, I cannot tell you how many times I have heard this in a response to my own videos on the subject. Well, Brandon, it would just be so boring if everybody did good all the time. You're right. My bad. We should have more starving children. We should have more sexually abused people. We should have more famine and murder and anxiety and fear and torture and pain and needless suffering. You're right. That's so much more entertaining. From what position of privilege can one look at the state of the world and say, yep, this is exactly how I would have done it, because if I made everyone perfect, it would have been boring. If you're going to be dumb enough to make this kind of argument, here's what I want you to answer. What do you think then heaven is going to be? And also, what do you think then God's original plan for the Garden of Eden was, right? Everything was perfect in the Garden of Eden. And if they had not eaten from that one tree, that's the only sin that could have happened. Was God's creation doomed and destined to be completely boring and thus bad? Well, they had free will in the garden, Brandon. That's why they were able to do that one sin. Okay, fine. I'll give you that, even though it's highly problematic before you have the knowledge of good and evil. But there's still only one sin to do. And does just having that temptation always floating out there create all the entertainment you need? Like, what a very small idea. What a myopic vision of the necessity for harm in the world so that you don't feel bored. But maybe I'm jumping. Let's see where he goes.
They notice all the bots more or less acted.
Can we talk about the bored
and
point?
Fell into very predictable patterns, like a fine.
Yep.
Yeah, the boring point. This is this is one of the things I do remember talking to Zach about, and it's at the end, and we almost came to like blows on it. Because he was in the Mindshift mindset. I had a different example though, because I was talking about if everybody was eternal beings, like not created, what would we do for eternity? And it's the more Eastern Hindu kind of idea of the great play, where we all come around and we go to this life, and then we get tired of this crap, and we go in there for like peace and perfection. Then we get tired of that, and we come back down to this crap. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different than the Mindshift one, because the creator created the people to get bored in such situations. So that would be the out I would give him in this.
Yeah.
But my argument against it is, look at the media we consume. GTA, best-selling video game of all time, go around, shoot people, mess up hookers, carjack people. All kinds of our movies, even the movies and plays going way back in history, have always centered around violence and conflict. And so there is something intrinsically wired within the human being to be attracted to conflict, if I can't say anything more. Good versus evil, heroes, villains, etc., and storytelling arcs. We could have been created differently, so that didn't appeal to us, so that the Christian model doesn't fly when it comes to that. But the boring thing, I don't think is as weak of a point as he says it is, not compared to what I observe with humans' nature and tendency towards entertainment and stuff. That makes sense.
Yeah, all I can think of is the way I got here, at least if my education and there was a consumption of food. Some variation of photosynthesis occurred for either a direct plant or an indirect plant to animal, and that processed in my father reproductive system. That chemical reaction created a competition, and in my mother there was a timing. There was more quality, but less quantity that the father has. Same chemical type of reaction. You require some form of photosynthesis, direct or indirect. Whatever that chemical process is. I haven't gone into the weeds into that chemical process, but clearly we were something before we were what we were. We were something, required a chemical reaction, made something else. You don't remember being that. You have another chemical reaction in which those two come together with the timing and the quantity being narrowed down to one. And you have a systematic building, right? So let me ask you, I love going hiking, for instance. What kind of hiking trip is the 2-week journey from the time of conception in the fallopian tube to the journey to adhere to the uterine wall in the 3 day to 2 week period? Like how much of a journey in the timing that our being was at that point? What kind of adventure was that, for instance? And just trying to zero in on those little things of nature, to me, answers what's next. Is we become a chemical reaction in death, and whatever the next stage is, an eggplant, whatever next eggplant or egg, but the whatever the next thing is, I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. I don't think Christians have the answer to it either. It is a journey that is unimaginable until you've done it. And whatever journey we're on, you can't imagine until you've done it. Whether I live in a very plush existence in comparison to what I grew up in, for instance. And if there was a war tomorrow, that could be reversed. The squalor and death, destruction, quality of life fades in an instant. But is that journey any different than the fallopian tube to adhere to uterine wall? You have to become something to become something else. And I think this analogy that he's using, if you believe that there is a God that created you, stitched you in the womb, and at one time made you perfect, but there's now blame to go around that you're no longer perfect and you need to, be in the Christian club. I just look at it through completely different eyes, and I see my journey that I'm going through on a day in, day out basis far better than any afterlife until I've done that journey as well. So if I go up someplace and I get sick of it and I got to be sent back down here to get sick of this, then I think you're in the wrong nature. I mean,
products of the environment. So you're riff off the Hindu idea. What do you think about the boring point that he's trying to make? Do you think it's as weak as Mindshift is making out to be? Or
so, if I remember correctly, I didn't focus that much on the boring, but if I remember correctly, the way Brandon just throws it back in I Am Beggar's face of, hey, I've heard this boring argument, and if heaven's going to be so great, it's going to be infinite. If you think perfection is boring for your analogy of God and his creation, then I got news for you. Heaven's going to be worse.
Yeah, and Brandon gets around to that for sure. I just think, the only point I think I'd have against I Am Beggar with that point is that God created us to be bored. If God wanted us to be able to sit in one spot for our entire life like a tree and be content, then we wouldn't have that problem. But it's something about the human nature. They're going to try to talk it up to fruits and trees and snakes and shit, but I can't deny it just looking at what appeals to the masses when it comes to entertainment. That conflict is kind of like rooted in us.
What do the trees think about?
Yeah, I don't know. All I do is ever look at them. I never ask them.
Your audio is a little choppy sometimes. Does it sound good on your end?
I can't hear myself, but I think it might be the headphone issue I told you about. So I'll try to still like a tree.
All right, let's play it on.
Okay.
Tune machine. So yeah, they created a perfect world, but those in it were not. Because is it really good if you're only doing what you were programmed to do?
Sorry, I'm going to cut this off anytime I hear something weird. Is it really good if you're only doing what you're programmed to do? Again, can we talk about heaven? If you cannot sin or die or suffer or cry, which are the four things we are told we cannot do in heaven, that means there is something elemental in the very presence of heaven or the new souls or bodies that we are created with that do not allow for those things. So can it really be good if we're only doing what we're programmed to do? There is some level of programming going on in heaven by God for us that controls for those outcomes. This is more self-defeating than I thought it was going to be, and we are only 3 minutes in. Also, this is a huge black or white fallacy, and I think I'm going to save that because I'm sure it's going to get more representative of that, but I'd like to go on record saying right now, hey, there's another option out there, which is God didn't have to create anything. Oh, well, he wanted to. Why? Well, he needed to. Why? Well, he wanted to be glorified. He wanted to be worshiped. He was lonely. You can pick whichever one you want. You tell me, why did God have to create people? And if you have an answer, if there's anything coming off the tip of your tongue right now, you don't believe he's perfect. You don't believe that he is wholly perfect, requiring nothing. Self-defeaters everywhere.
So the engineers thought, let's do something.
Hey, so that's the biggest problem of evil, is the problem of creation.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no getting around that. Like, evil didn't enter the world until God created it, because it would be impossible in a world of God alone, according to his omnipotent nature, for evil to exist. So he knew it knowingly. Created, even if you want to pass the buck to free will, he knew evil would be a consequence of free will. So
yeah, that's a great point. If I ask a Christian right now, is God a trickster? And the answer is usually no. And I say, and free will has to be the end-all be-all, which isn't even in the Bible in the first place. At least I haven't found it. I've been told a verse in Deuteronomy, which I was not impressed with that being an expression. But the difference between a trickster God and a free will God that's really good, there is no competition. It would just be. It would be the perfect robot world if there was a good only God. There has to be a trickster God, in effect, for there to be this, hide and seek? I don't like using the hide and seek example, but this God that's doing everything but nothing at the same time. And if he does it where it's evident, then it'll violate some unspoken, unwritten rule that we then can exploit so that the omnis and the alls are taken away, or at least learnable.
Yeah. Dave has a good point in chat, Captain Desk, that I've made this point a lot myself. There's a much better case to be made that we're actually currently in hell if you're following a Christian framework. And they're like, well, there's a fire, there's a pitchfork. And they use that all the time. Like, that's not what it really is. It's separation from God. Well, where is he? Divine hiddenness explains, like, why would we be in hell right now? Like,
I think we've had similar conversation, and to me, the entirety of my world is built upon decaying matter. This is a death planet. It's not a life planet. It's a death planet.
Yeah, fine-tuning arguments are kind of a joke.
Absolutely everything I see around me grows because something else died.
And life has to be sustained by other life, like the food chain.
And life,
so,
yeah.
So yeah.
I have to murder plants or animal that lives off of plants to survive. Yeah. Everything comes down to some variation of photosynthesis. If we didn't have that, there still could be a chance of life, but it would require some sort of volcanic energy, as far as I know. Since there are living things off of the volcanic valves and fault lines and stuff like that in the ocean.
Well, just the fact that plants exist off of photosynthesis, humans could have been designed with photosynthesis.
Like, and we could, exactly.
It would have been that easy. We have examples of it being currently done now, but no, we have to murder and kill animals and plants, as you put it. So,
have you ever heard of the theory that a bald man is bald because he needs the solar for the sex machine?
No, but I'm sure you've used that a couple times.
I'm not bald. I'm not bald. I just need extra solar for the sex machine.
That's your pickup line at the bars, or what?
I think I saw it on a T-shirt once.
That's funny.
You know, speaking of that, I had a friend who used to wear a T-shirt all the time that said, "I'm not gay, but $20 is $20."
He ain't lying, right?
He's not lying.
Especially with groceries the way they are now.
So he would wear that bartending all the time, and it would crack all us up. So there you go.
That's our moment of Zen early.
Moment of Zen. I'll just replay all the T-shirts that I've seen either worked with people from behind the bar or seen from behind the bar.
That's funny.
I think he wore another shirt that said, "I'm not gay, but I'll warm it up for you." That one was always a big hit too.
I was just muting because I was laughing so hard.
Let's run the same simulation, but this time, let's only write the protocols into their memories, so they know what's right or wrong, but give them the choice to follow them or not, essentially giving them freedom. What do you think we would observe in this world? Mm-hmm. Well, as I'm sure you can imagine, it didn't take long for the first bot to break protocol. And from there, all hell broke loose. This bot took advantage.
Okay. Let's see. I was gay once. It's my turn to quit. I like that. Hey, Bowtie Bless.
Hey,
thanks, Thomas.
Advantage of that bot, these bots oppressed those bots rose up against these bots, and the great historical pendulum between the master-slave, the have-nots began. Which of course led to every form of war, poverty, slavery, hatred, hedonism, and the most unspeakable evils that even the engineers could never have imagined.
But this is what? A comparison to God creating us with free will. And what do we know about God? That he has perfect foreknowledge. So he did imagine this. He did.
Did you look up any of these verses? Do you know any of these verses off the top of your head?
No, I feel like I don't have to fact check Brandon.
Yeah.
Like, I've watched enough of his stuff. I usually feel pretty confident without having to check
Yeah,
him.
he's definitely got some good knowledge in his bean, floating around the bean.
see how it would play out, and he still chose to do this. If you want to tell me that a bunch of engineers created all these simulated worlds and they didn't know how it was going to go, and they wanted to try out free will because they thought, well, we don't want to make people slave robots, so they try out free will and it goes bad and it got away from them, fine. Not good, but fine. But the second you try to compare this to a perfect God with perfect power and perfect foreknowledge, you lose. It doesn't work. Also, most of those bad things that he listed that came from that, God prescribed, ordered, or condoned.
Yep.
Holy
Good
shit.
point.
Oh my.
I don't know if I'm going to get on board
I haven't fact checked this.
I'm not going to get on board the ecclesiastic verses, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah. God prescribed
it is
these.
Right. It is right, though, because every example he's using works if the creators aren't what Christians propose the God to be. If it's like an experiment or whatever, yeah, great. And what's even weirder about the beggar video is why did he go with multiple creators? If he was trying to keep it like analogous to Christianity, why not just one creator? But
brilliant. Like again, I haven't looked up any of these verses. But how do I say this? The double standard, the double standard, and to say that I'm not able to collect my words, but I mean, clearly there are moments in which God is purposely doing war things. Like you only have to read the book from beginning to end, Joshua from beginning to end, for instance, Joshua 6:21. You know for a fact these instructions are supposedly coming from a God.
Okay, so I just got done saying I wasn't going to fact check Brandon, but he's stacking the deck on the Ecclesiastes verses for hedonism, because you know what Ecclesiastes is about, right? It's supposed to be Solomon reflecting on everything he's tried to do, but it's like a really nihilistic book. But the verses is talking like a person could do nothing better than to eat and drink and find satisfaction in their own toil. This too, I see this from the hand of God. This is Solomon reflecting on the verses. Like, a lot of people notice that there's a lot of contradictions going on within Ecclesiastes with other parts in the scripture. So I wouldn't say this is a prescription from God, even though this is Solomon's opinion of what he thinks God would want. I don't know if I'd give him that verse or not, but that's me being picky.
Well, let's see if I can do a screen share without my audio crashing.
His soul enjoy good in his labor. This also I saw, that it was from the hand of God. For who can eat, or who else can hasten hereunto more than I?
So there you go. He claims it's from the hand of God.
He does, but also that conflicts with other parts in the Bible. Oh, but then I shouldn't have said anything, because there's also verses where Jesus is like, doesn't he even feed the sparrows? You know, and he cares more about you than he does the birds. And it's so, I don't know. Maybe take that back, but like hedonism, I don't know. Hedonism is a strong word to use.
Again, there be wicked men to whom it happeneth according to the work of the righteous. I said that this also is vanity. Then I commended mirth, because a man hath no better thing under the sun than to eat and to drink and to be merry. For that shall abide with him of his labor the days of his life, which God giveth him under the sun.
Yeah. That sounds like, it sounds like a good time. I wouldn't consider it hedonism.
Yeah, I don't know if it's hedonism, but he's just reflecting on his own existential crises and nihilism and weird shit like that.
Yeah. Huh. Were there any other Ecclesiastes on there? No, I don't see any.
Nah, it was just the hedonism one that popped out to me.
All right, let's try to share this one instead.
No audio for me.
You don't have audio? I did lose it.
Chat audio? Yep. It gets muted.
Let this happen, but then really stayed out of the way, I would say that's a better argument. But the fact that he intervenes to harden hearts, to cause damage, to condone slavery, to order genocide is working against this argument so hard. Also, let me just go back to that first world where, you know, everyone's perfect. Can you be bored when everyone's perfect? I tried to have this argument about heaven, and I listed it more as a philosophical, interesting thing for point 1. I got to my other 6 points that I think were much more serious about the issues with heaven, like having loved ones burning in hell and not feeling sorrow, meaning your memory got wiped, meaning you don't have free will, meaning why not heaven now, meaning earth is unnecessary and the suffering is unnecessary from the free will system that we supposedly needed. But whenever I brought up that little philosophical point about, isn't infinity boring? I was told that when we're perfect, we can't be bored. And I was playing with infinity. We're talking about a finite amount of time here. And you're telling me that they were going to be bored and that's why it doesn't work? That is contradictory in nature.
And amidst all this newfound squalor, chaos, and confusion.
So I love Brandon's analogy there. I think it's you can't have one without the other. It seems like you've built yourself a nice little double standard there that my world should be perfect, but it's Eve's fault. But at the same time, we have this world existing because we blame it on Eve. So if you do really well and you get to Judgment Day and you get to go to the good place, and then what? It's like everybody's saying we need a third-party candidate in the United States. Okay, let's get a third-party candidate. Now what? Did it fix anything? No.
Well, I mean, a viable one might be nice, but like if it's just to humor people, no.
Like I feel like there's heaven, there's hell, there's earth. It's just the third party, and everybody thought it was going to be a great idea until they came up with it, and they thought it would fix it, and it's still broken. We're still complaining about the politicians now that there's 3 of them, just the same as we were when there was 2 of them, or when there was royalty and a hierarchy system instead of a democracy. You know, we complained about that too.
The party's there for the fear of commitment. So like people are like, I don't want hell. Oh, I don't want heaven either. Like, well, can we just like mix them together, blend them, like, and just be a little of both?
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go get a drink. I'm gonna press play and then try to be right back as quick as I can. I think I've deserved a whiskey over this one.
All right, go treat yourself.
Fusion. They noticed something else. Cracks emerged in the actual system. Bugs, breakdowns, glitches in the code, system-wide viruses that wiped out generations, or in other words, what we would call disease. And the metrics of evil and suffering skyrocketed. This discouraged the engineers. But drilling down into the analytics a little deeper, they saw something else. Interwoven between all the spikes of evil and suffering, they saw spikes of goodness, real chosen goodness, sometimes even hero status greatness. And as the metrics of evil and suffering increased, so did this goodness. So despite all the evil and suffering, some of the bots still chose to be good. And that's what the engineers set out to design.
Okay, so maybe he's going to explain this further, but I want to point this out because it's a really common argument that we need the bad things to appreciate the good. And to a certain degree, that is true. If I've never been extremely thirsty, I don't know just how good a glass of water can taste. And whenever we do this kind of thing, we give these really micro examples that we can all latch on to. But let's just expand it. Do I need millions of people to die from dehydration a year so that I can appreciate my glass of water more? Even the way he's representing the green versus the red on the scale, like it's as if good always is more. And I would argue that is...
The greater good analogy, basically, because of the presence of evil. Now, greater goods were able to abound. And now
how about a little
ripping into them. Ooh.
How about a little bourbon?
There you go. 99
Ezra
proof.
Brooks, 99 proof. So I have some nostalgia for Ezra Brooks because one of my favorite movies of all time is The Sting. And clearly they had a paid promotion to be featured in that movie. Otherwise, I would not know what Ezra Brooks is.
So what's your thoughts on the greater good scenarios?
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember the greater goods.
It's basically evil exists. So like, somebody has to be able to be beaten up so somebody can display bravery.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, the hero.
Yeah, so different stuff like that.
Hero complex.
Without certain evils, certain goods wouldn't exist, or greater goods, or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely feels good to be the hero when it's time to be the hero. I know what the problem is. I'm still on Wi-Fi. That might be why you're crackly to me.
Yeah, everybody else says I'm coming out okay.
Yeah. I'm going to switch. I'm going to basically refresh. Might lose the stream for a second. My meal fully because some children. Oh, that's right. Yes, I used to have that as well. Sandals.
That's a greater good. You became a great big person now.
I remember, like, if it was lima beans or something like that, I remember asking if we could just ship it to them.
That's actually pretty clever.
Can we just ship this to them?
Oh, it's already in the cans. Yeah, transfer's okay.
All hell. Check out your community post, Trusty Ape. Oh, yeah, your Bigfoot pavers. That's pretty funny. I am pretty sure I gave that a like. I know for a fact I did.
Nowhere near the case. Being a good parent is a great thing. Do we need to have billions of abused children throughout history to recognize that? Or would it have been better if we could have just not had the harm? Also, in this part of the clip, he talked about how bugs happened organically. These diseases just popped up. Things are starting to get away from us. I'd like to bring you back to what happened after the sin in the Garden of Eden that ushered in the fall. The first point is God chose to do that. He could have forgiven them. He could have just cursed them and not all humanity for all time through collective punishment and generational curse. So we've got to answer for that before we just talk about organic bugs.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like if there was something broken, there's only one way to fix it, and that's to murder your son in about, I don't know, couple thousand years or so. And your first initial step was to let humans start flourishing, but get to the point you don't like it, wish you never created them, flood out the place. And as my conclusion in the video earlier was, I'm going to start over. I'm going to do this over again. I'm going to do a mulligan. And then I make the first child born after flooding the place, after murdering everything. I'm going to make the child a slave. That'll fix it. I'm sure.
What I thought about your video, what was good point, because I was off the heels of this video too, so I was thinking about it, is the excuse that you almost always hear, like, well, God didn't want robots.
Yeah.
Right? But apparently God wanted slaves. He didn't want robots who would just do what he wanted without thinking about it. He wanted slaves to do what he wanted without complaining about it. Like, they're basically close to the same thing, except for one has the free will, and so it's almost diabolical. It'd be better if he made robots rather than having everybody be slaves.
Yeah. It would be better. You know, it's funny how we use, and he's going to bring it up in the video about artificial intelligence, but I mean, to me right now, artificial intelligence is a pretty cool tool that I use. And I don't believe I'm a tool that's being used by another being, as far as I can tell. Now, I can be involved in a group. So, for instance, the mega crowd is kind of a tool used by the group. And when you hear Trump say some variation of fake news and he points to CNN, anybody who watches CNN on a very regular basis, I would say more than, say, 3 hours a day of CNN, you could be their tool. I mean, because their objective is to sell advertisement. Their way of selling advertisement is to get eyes on their product. Their way to get eyes on the product is to entice you in to be their eyes. And so you have that cycle. No matter how you slice it, if I watch YouTube and listen to YouTube as much as I listen to YouTube, I am a tool. I am the tool for YouTube, for Google, for Alphabet. And it's the same thing, and I think that's why, as an atheist, and I'm accused of being in a religion as an atheist, I can kind of connect those dots in the exact same way that they are being the slave to their religion, to their God. I can see that analogy working. I am a YouTube tool to spread your atheist content.
Clipped.
And those who enjoy and receive the atheist content are also a tool to somebody else. And this is where I pull out a dry erase board and I start drawing triangles and entice you into my multi-level marketing scheme.
Well, I wasn't going that far. Like, I'm going to make a distinction between like actual slaves and like useful idiots of MAGA or something like that.
Yeah.
But my comparison I was thinking to is think about before.
Maya, sorry. Can you not hear BS? Yeah.
Oh, I'm just not on screen.
All right. Hopefully that makes it better.
So the comparison, hey Maya, the comparison I was going to make is think about before the Amalekites or before Jericho. God tells the Israelites that they can go up and give them an offer and say either you guys have slavery or death. If you think about it, that's the same offer that the gospel, that Christianity is offering everyone. You can either choose to be our slaves or our God's slaves, or you can choose death, but it's not just normal death, it's the worst death possible, like hell.
Yeah.
But it's the same type of choice. So I don't think if free will is such a big deal, like honestly, it seems way more cruel for God to want slaves than to want robots.
Yeah. And your point that you made, I am going to be selling in my next video. This is one that I didn't show you. The one that I showed you that I'd gotten about 13 minutes in and had nothing but problems. That one's shelved for right now. I'm going to work on another one, and then I'm going to go back to that one, I think.
Well, I got to compliment you on your editing, because this editing for today's was pretty damn good. And
can you tell I've been practicing and researching and playing with some stuff? And
well, because you did a little editing on the one you showed me on the private, and this one's editing was fucking far and away way better, dude.
Yeah, I thank you. I had somebody proof the rough cut, and he was like, "Wow, this is so much better editing than you've done in the past." And I was like, "Yeah, I've been working on it." Google. It's funny because Google is amazing if you want to learn something. You just kind of type in what you want and the instructions come up and you follow the instructions and you learn something and you practice makes perfect.
You don't say.
And I wonder if there was a omni, all being that could do the same and have, say, a search engine on learning things.
Well, if you're saying that we're actually slaves to YouTube or Google, like at least it seems like we're getting some kind of benefit out of being slaves to YouTube and Google.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, clearly, I compliment an awful lot of content makers about their quality of art, and I feel that my quality of art has never been there. And then this piece, I mean, it kind of started with the piece that I was working on because I'd switched from Adobe to I started using iMovie. And I was like, if I can master iMovie, then I'll buy Final Cut and stop subscribing to stuff that's just so complex I never really learned it. So yeah, I feel like I've started to master iMovie.
That's good enough for a lot of people. Like, I don't use fucking hardcore professional shit either. I used to use CapCut, which is like the TikTok brand of editing.
Mm-hmm.
Lot of effects and stuff because it's TikTok, so that blends well with my style.
Yeah, I really enjoyed your last video, or is it the last one where you reviewed a young gal's content?
You like me beating up on little kids, huh?
Yeah, I like you beating up on little kids. But you know what? I don't think you were there to beat up on little kids, but I do like that, you know, your synopsises. Is it synopsises or synopsisize?
Synopsis, I don't know.
I just really enjoyed that you simplified everything. There is some truth to make it so a second grader can understand. And I think any Christian who watches that, even though they think it's dumb, they might be able to understand.
Yeah,
atheism is dumb.
I felt like it was one of my more educational videos I've done, and it felt good to do that. Usually I'm just like, hey, here's an eggplant. But this one I kept clean. I was like, I'm addressing a little kid or a young person, so I'm not going to sexualize anything. I think I made like a sperm and egg joke and then like a Fallout booty joke, but that was it. But not.
Oh yeah, there was a subliminal. You did put a subliminal joke in there. I do remember, and somebody commented on it. That was an excellent way to hide the joke. I can't remember who.
It's probably Gurr. He said I had that.
It was Gurr.
Hello, fellow young people. Their energy. I was like, yes, that's what I was going for.
Yes, I suspect. At least number 11.
Yeah, that was when America was great, wasn't it?
Back in the 1950s, yeah. We were like, just in my lifetime, like my memories of my childhood and what things look like, technology looked like, what we were fascinated by, and kind of the future promise, like watching the Jetsons, for instance. Like when I was a kid, we're gonna have flying cars, we're gonna have jetpacks, we're gonna have, and you saw the jetpacks kind of come in, but they were only good for like 30 seconds or something like that. Like there's legitimately ways to replicate what they could do in 30 seconds. There's literally ways to replicate that. It might not be safe, and today's liabilities prevent that from going forward, but we've come a long way in terms of this device right here. There is nothing comparable to my youth It was called an sorry, I can't say it. Ohio Arts masterpiece that was already 50 years old when I started playing it in the 70s. An Etch-a-Sketch? What? Why can't I say that word anymore?
Say it slow. Etch-a-Sketch.
Etch-a-Sketch. So, yes. And the funny thing is I remember drawing a computer on my Etch-a-Sketch. Never mind, the drunk guy. I need to drink more to say Etch-a-Sketch.
What?
Thank you, Trusty Ape. Thank you.
Trusty. What if Michael J. Fox came back to the future to you as a kid and he showed you like TikTok? like fucking shit me now. No.
Yeah,
this is no flying skateboards, but this is
like I can fully imagine writing the Book of Revelation on my vision that I had one night, and somebody's showing me a movie like have you ever seen Drag Me Back to Hell? I think it's called. Where this woman has a curse and she somehow gets this coin or something that's cursed, and the curse is now on her. And then she thinks she got rid of the curse, and then she didn't, and then she gets sucked into hell. Like, I can only imagine the special effects in that movie. And this movie's now 15 years old, I think. I can only imagine thinking Revelations was true. If I just seen that on a small screen, just like this, if somebody from the future came in, had a screen like this, showed me 15 minutes of that movie, I can imagine. I would be writing. Yeah. I would be writing something the equivalent when I grew up.
So I just wanted to mention that Brandon here is reminding everybody to like the stream.
Oh yeah.
So go ahead, hit that thumbs up.
Give that thumbs up.
So he's saying
that's funny.
Do it now. Hit the thumbs up. You want to carry on and see what he has to say? Or
in the system. And then if we just look at the two main curses that God puts on, not to mention the fact that he's releasing Satan, giving dominion, setting up a world that is going to utterly fail in so many ways past disease, but just looking at those two main curses, that man will have to work by the sweat of his brow and women will endure great pain in childbirth. And those things trickle down into much larger things. Just think about work. Sounds like God's perfect plan involved no work. I'm sure Adam's design would have been just to do creative things in the garden, like name the animals. But now man has been damned to work, which again, from our point of privilege, I don't enjoy working. In addition to this channel, I put in 40, if not more hours into my day job. It takes away from my time with family. It takes away from my ability to pursue other things. And again, I'm in the most privileged position. Work has meant death. Work has meant slavery. Work has meant zero time with loved ones. Work is a way bigger curse than I think people typically think of. And it's not some organic bug. It is a designed curse from God. Same thing with women. This whole pain in childbirth means imperfection in childbirth. Not only are something like 1 in 3 babies miscarriages, which cause great stress and trauma for these mothers, but before the advent of modern medicine, do you know how many children and mothers died during childbirth itself? And again, not a bug, God's plan. God went in and changed the code to punish his bots for using their free will. That is so different than the narrative that is typically given in these horrendous and inept kinds of apologetics.
Blossoming out of the struggle, they saw something that was completely absent from the first world. Identity, individuality, personality, character emerged, leading to expressions of art and culture. And in seeking solutions to all their problems,
Sandals says I'm roboting. Is it
better?
Oh,
you were roboting. Somebody else can hear you roboting?
Is it still? That's better. Okay. Onward.
All right. I just designed a new layout. Let's see what it looks like. There we go. I like that better.
And suffering. The search for truth and meaning began, leading to forms of religion and philosophy, which exploded into science and technology. And while they were nowhere near as advanced as they were in the first
Can you
world,
go back to that
at
tree?
least in this world,
Go back to the tree with the religion and the philosophy and stuff. I made it this point at the last time. It was funny that nothing is branching off the religion tree. Everything branches off the philosophy tree. It's like, and he just put little dots there, like, oh yeah, it has the potential of being. No, it has nothing. It's a dead branch. It's just nothing. Nothing fucking came out of religion. It's just all philosophy.
Like I do believe that there is philosophy in religion, and I believe that that much of the information that we have about nature in the Holy Bible, for instance, is the observance of nature, not a God telling us this is how it was done. It was just an observance of nature.
Yeah, I was just riffing on his drawing there because he also has science coming off of philosophy instead of religion, where a lot of people are like, oh, you guys wouldn't have science because all the early scientists were all Christian, blah, 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 blah. It's like,
yeah,
I know it's not accurate. I just thought it was a funny observation.
Well, I would have to say, I mean, one of the most educated, to me, when you go to the UK, you clearly see, at least in the areas of the UK that I've visited, you clearly see a highly educated society. And you also observed how religious and how God-believing all of them were under previous times when they weren't fully educated. The love of God, when you're walking through the London, through the what's the name of the castle, the where why am I drawing a blank? The London Tower? No, not London Tower. Wow, my brain's working great.
It's that it never helps anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
But the main royalties places in, it was a fortress, a London fortress, and living for royalty. It served as it was where Anna Boleyn,
Buckingham,
not Buckingham. That's where they currently live. Oh. Tower of London. Sorry, Tower of London. Not Big Ben. Tower of London. So when you walk through where they held prisoners before they were executed the next day, or where they were found of treasonous activity against the king and trying to hold on to Catholicism when the Church of England was being created, some of the early stages of Protestant versus Catholicism. You clearly see etched into the walls a love of God. And since I couldn't remember Tower of London, I forgot where I was going to go with this. Because my brain's amazing.
And while they were nowhere near as advanced as they were in the first world, at least in this world they could say, we did it on our own.
We did it on our own. So what? You just said it's a less advanced civilization because of all the corruption that happened. It's not as good as it otherwise would have been in a perfect system, but it's better because at least we did it on our own. Who is implanting that as the highest moral? And again, all those things that he listed, let me look at the screen: identity, art, culture, truth, religion, philosophy, and all their branches. He's saying this is a good thing. First of all, no Christian believes that other religions are a good thing. It's literally the definition.
Great point. Great point.
Yeah, he just should have put Christianity on that branch instead of religion, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like past and present and future religions are all on that tree. Dead end right there at religion.
Jonestown is there, and the Waco is there, the Branch Davidians, they're all there.
Yeah. Have you ever watched That guy that does the map that plots out how the evolution of religion. I can't remember the name of his channel.
Useful Charts.
Useful Charts. Thank you.
Yep.
He has a 3-hour plus video. I watched every damn minute. And you know what? Normally I speed up my videos to 1.5. Like, it's torture to watch Brandon do this at live speed. It's torture for me to do it. He sounds drunker than I am. And I just started drinking. But it's funny because I watched Useful Charts at 1 time speed, no speed up, for 3 hours and 15 minutes or whatever that video is, and was absolutely fascinated and riveted the entire time. And normally I can't do that.
There's a lot of research he puts in those, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like just a phenomenal video. Because I think he basically consolidated a 6-part, and since he had added it on and then went and redid the video or something like that. Maybe it was 4-part and became 5-part and then it became 6-part or something like that. But he has a 3-hour video that goes through all of it, and just love every minute of it. Every minute of it.
Of false idols, which if you've read your Bible, you know is the biggest no-no. But these other things, again, I just ask you, in the original plan for the garden and in heaven, does that mean there's no identity, no creativity, no art, no stories, no entertainment? And if not, do you not have a problem with that? I don't think you're going to be able to be philosophically consistent as you go through these questions. I get why this is a powerful video. I get why if you're a Christian who's wanting to excuse this, you watch this, the visuals are nice, you're hearing all these things, you see the engineers high-five each other because they got some desired good to arrive from the bad. But let me just put it to you this simple. If it all came down to you, if you were given the choice right now, and we'll just pick something here, to erase disease. That's one thing that just gets plucked out. No one gets sick. No one dies from disease. Now, you're going to lose a benefit of that. You're going to lose the pleasure of feeling good, right? Here's a microscopic example of that. Have you ever had a stuffed up nose just horribly for like a week? It was hard to breathe. It was hard to sleep. And then it clears up and you're like, I didn't know I felt this good the whole time. Wow, I need to appreciate this. And then it fades, right? And you're back to your normal average life. Was that peak of feeling good worth the week of not breathing well? Because if you extrapolate that out to the highest ends, let me just say clearly, are you telling me you would rather hang on to those momentary highs of knowing you're well, even though you would have been well in the perfect system? Now you have something to compare it against being so...
I would just ask Brandon, how would you know what it's like to breathe good unless you couldn't breathe good? And then you'd be like, hey, it's the same example of earlier. Like, it's a stupid example. I don't know. It's stupid, sorry.
I would love to. I don't know. Like, having mucus glands and sinuses fill up and taking histamine medication, you know, I cannot. I live in a world where medical science, pharmaceutical science, has a remedy for almost all of those problems. They may not work perfectly, but if I'm coming down with something, I know I can roll over. I've got a medicine cabinet upstairs, and there's Tylenol with Sudafed, and I can pop one of those, and usually I feel much better in about an hour. So, until 45, somewhere 55 years ago, I don't believe there was a such thing as Sudafed in its current form. I think there was a precursor to Sudafed.
Opium.
And definitely in World War II. Yeah, definitely in World War II, the Germans were hopped up on a version of Sudafed. to go like mad for 48 hours straight.
It's called Sudafed. I can't even do a German accent. Never mind. Sudafed. That's like Russian. I don't know what the hell that was.
It almost sounded Japanese.
It could have been Japanese. I'm so bad at accents.
Every once in a while, I'll nail one. What? I don't know what this word is. Pervitin?
It's
I don't know what that is.
Medicine made for perverts.
Ooh. Go on.
Unwell. So you appreciate that well-being even more. Is your appreciation worth everyone who has ever died and felt awful and had their lives ruined by disease? I don't mean to set up a gotcha question, but it kind of.
So, Pervitin, an oral form of methamphetamine, was widely used by Nazi Germany and was available without a prescription. Yeah. It was my understanding that a documentary that I saw that they had used this product, and that's why they had advanced into Northern Europe so far in basically 48 hours. That, and it was their artillery and tanks were just no match for horse and World War I defense mechanisms.
Just imagine having a fucking bunch of crackheads running into your country all at once. Like, I'm gonna fucking get you. I'm fucking all messed out and shit. You're like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. So there you go. Well, we've been going for a little over an hour 15. What's your strategy like here? BS is muted.
I'm muted, sorry. So he's basically making all the problem of evil arguments. He's making greater good. He's fighting against that. He's saying why now instead of heaven. He's doing all the kind of basic main moves that most problem of evil counter apologists do. So I'd say, let's see what he has to say for his conclusion, how he wraps it up.
Okay. Because we are at the 17-minute mark of 54 minutes. Yeah, 54 minutes. Well, let's try to go through half of it. I'm going to run up and kiss the Mrs. Tux good night. Be right back.
Because if you say, yes, that's worth it, you're a narcissist to have that little empathy that you would trade all the world's suffering via disease for the good that can come of its opposite. And it's like that with everything. All of these examples have the same flaw built into them. Let me preach for a second. I am grateful every single day that so far I've been able to provide a relatively safe and successful life for my two young children. And that appreciation, when I go to bed at night and I say, oh my gosh, I am so glad. Another day, they weren't taken, they weren't trafficked, they weren't abused, they didn't break anything, they didn't die, they didn't have anyone in their life that they lost and are feeling intense suffering and grief. We've given them another day of this. That appreciation for me simply does not matter for the parent down the street whose child was just molested by someone in a position of authority. It doesn't. There is no good enough to justify the bad of that situation. And if you think there is, I think you're heartless. I think you're naive, to put it as nicely as I can.
Now, this world wasn't perfect, far from it, but at least those in it were free to be. Now, the engineers found themselves becoming totally enamored by their new creations. But as a result, there was some pushback. We just created a very cruel and unfair world, some argued. And millions of the good that we hope to create are just being wasted every day. So the engineers thought, let's see if we can come up with a way to mitigate all the evil and suffering while still allowing their freedom. So for the first idea, they thought, we already monitor all their thoughts. So anytime anyone's about to make a really bad choice, the system will just intervene and will either edit or overwrite the choice.
What'd I miss?
That all the good stuff in the world doesn't make up for some bad thing happening to another person. I'm not going to go into graphic detail, but basically he was saying like something good happening to you doesn't make anyone else feel better if something bad happened to them.
Huh. Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I share in somebody's enjoyment. Sometimes.
Yeah. This way they're still free, just on a very short leash. Well, this turned out to be a humongous-sized disaster. They quickly learned that overriding some of the choices was far worse than not allowing any. And to change that one choice, they had to change the thousands of choices that led to that one choice, which often meant rewriting entire life stories for multiple bots through multiple generations. Let's just say this caused such severe brain damage and complete system crashes that the engineers vowed never to touch the code of an individual's mind.
I don't get that.
Like, I don't either. Like, you have to take away one of the alls and one of the omnis for a creator that he's implying, AI and Baker is implying exists to create us, if that is the outcome.
Well, maybe his gotcha question or his gotcha statement from the beginning was right. Like, if we look at the world, you would design it the exact same way, but the difference is you and me aren't the omnis where God is. So it was like an unfair comparison to begin with. Like, yes, all these creators that are doing all this stuff and these experiments that he's showing, they don't seem like the God. They don't seem like the omnis. And they're doing about as good as probably we would do. Like, if we were trying to do like trial and error programming bots to make them live happy and fulfilling lives, I don't know. But
and granted, I didn't watch the previous 2.5, 3 minutes, but something about this point when he uses language, notice how much of it is loaded with slavery.
Because he keeps comparing the control to it. Yeah, like it's that tension between the free will group and the Calvinists.
Yeah.
Do they want the God that's all completely sovereign, or do they want the God that like lets us do whatever and take responsibility for our own actions? But I don't think if you could sit there and have these people erase bad thoughts or whatever, because like if we're thinking in terms of computers, you run updates all the time, and it makes the program, not always, but it's supposed to make the programs run better with the updates, not the worse. Even though it doesn't always work that way, because sometimes people do crappy updates.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I think that's an excellent example. In terms of, we used to use tablets, and then we started using scrolls, and then we started using parchment, and then we started using codex, and then we started using a print press, then we started using typewriters, then we started using computers or word processors, then we started using computers, then we started using the internet and computers.
Then we start using tablets again.
and then we're using tablets again.
Full circle, right?
It's come full circle. Well, I mean, the colloquial term for tablet, past and present. And that's the thing. There is no update. I find that almost impossible. There could be an update, and it goes back to the trickster God. What kind of good God would have a website versus a good God that doesn't have a website? Even if it's an AI bot, you click on http www god.
God is real. God.
Yeah, God is real. God, and you type in, and your messages, your prayer is important to us. We will put the utmost attention to your request. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Oh, I was just thinking about Robert Tilden when you said that, because he just took the money and threw away the prayer requests.
I feel like I could swindle a shit ton of people with creating an app on your, to put in the App Store or your Google Store, and it basically is just an AI response, and then put a label on there for entertainment purposes only.
But if you think about it, we do have a biological equivalent. Like, we sleep, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on in our processing centers. Yep.
Yeah, without a doubt, there are things going on in my head.
And so it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to have the bad thoughts, like you're saying, oh, let's erase the bad thoughts, if they just went away in the morning. Like, you wouldn't have to sit there and be angry at somebody for freaking a month. It would just go away overnight once you went to sleep. So I don't think his analogy it's not a good one on this one. It's not really matching up too well.
Yeah. There's definitely a moment where I forget an awful lot from what happened today when I go to sleep. There's a couple things that may have stick around, but
yeah. And if they were only worried about like the moral aspects, like good versus evil, then you would just forget the evil stuff and retain the good stuff. And so you might still have bad stuff happen the next day, but that would only last a day, and then it'd be gone again. And then, like, you'd wake up every day to perpetual harmony, and then every day you'd see it kind of slightly slump into chaos. but then by the next day, it'd be all freaking roses again.
Yeah. I don't know how old B.S. Lewis is, but I think he's about the same age I am. And my guess is on a daily basis, day in, day out, only about 3 or 4% of the days of your life, you do something new that you've never done before.
Yeah, probably. I probably do less than that. I'm pretty much a creature of routine.
And if there isn't something new to associate to a memory, I find it harder to remember something. And there's something about that kind of memory muscle that could his BS out of middle school. Yeah. His 12-year-old humor and my 12-year-old humor, I find remarkably similar.
Maya gets to turn the tables and troll me on a stream for once, so she's going to take advantage of it.
That's funny. I'm usually silent on Maya's stream. I usually just have it in ear only.
I just like to watch.
Oh my! I can imagine it's for
research,
for innocent intentions. Yeah, very dirty boy.
I think we beat this point up, so
let's see. God's inconsistent intervening. Well, let's
again.
Wow. This is really bizarre. This is a really bad take. It's a straw man, for one, that he's just building himself to burn down himself to look good here. But I think the comparison he's trying to make is when people like myself say, look at all this harm, a good God would and could and should be intervening. And he's saying, no, that can't happen. And I mentioned this earlier, but I'm going to list a bunch of verses on the screen right now where God actually intervenes in the hearts and minds of his creation. And by the way,
really? Look at all of those.
I wonder how many people will do the due diligence.
Let's look up at least one.
Yeah, let's popcorn. We're here to Q&A, Brandon. Keep them on the straight and narrow.
What one do we want to look up? God intervening.
Ezra 1:1.
Ezra 1:1. Ezra 1:1.
No audio for us.
Oh, there's no audio for you? This is why we never have nice things.
Jeremiah. Now in the first year of Cyrus king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, and put it also in writing, saying, Thus saith Cyrus king of Persia, the Lord God of heaven hath given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he hath...
There you go.
So he talked to Cyrus and intervened. There you go.
Got Ezra 6:22 also. Let's try that.
So that means we can believe anybody when they say that God's telling them a message to tell you. That's what I'm getting from this.
Were purity out of captivity, and to seek the days with joy. For the Lord had made them joyful. The feast of unleavened bread 7 days with joy. For the Lord had made them joyful, and turned the heart of the king of Assyria unto them, to strengthen their hands in the work of the house of God, the God of Israel.
Wow. And that's what God did.
It's so
the Lord had made them joyful.
It's so weird that he decided to go outside of the bounds of Israel to start like talking to people, because he's very against that usually in the Bible. He's like, no, I'm just going to pick this dude now, start talking to him, even though he's not a Hebrew or an Israelite.
Yeah. Wow. All right, let's try to go back to Brandon. Actually, I'm just going to stop the share and share, because it doesn't work.
It's usually to the detriment of a lot of people, just not his chosen people. I wonder if he's going to mention engineers that are playing favorites and only intervening to help the ones they want to help. That's the argument here. When people like myself, or I'll just speak for myself, when I say God should be intervening, it is usually a secondary or third response to, well, he should have never made us in the first place, or he should have made things perfect. So yeah, he's working the way down the chain. I get that. But this isn't my first response. This is just, I see a God that supposedly, from the Christian perspective, their testimony, as well as what is in their Bible, has a God that answers prayers, that heals, that intervenes, that changes minds and hearts. But not enough. You get some really horrible excuses when you say, there's Johnny, and his parents prayed for him because he got cancer as a child, and he survived, and we're going to thank God for that. And here's Susie, and her parents prayed for her with the same amount of faith and vigor as Johnny's parents, but Susie died. It is completely fair to point out that we have a God that is not operating fairly, that is willing, if you're going to give him credit for this, to intervene, but unwilling at other times, which means that he is capable of intervening and helping, and chooses not to. And all of the excuses you give.
So I just noticed, it looks like
is it went to the fair or a hospital? I can't tell. It's not a hospital one. Yeah,
either he went to a concert or he went to the I just got one of those I was at a ball game, and to go into the club where you get unlimited food and booze while you're at the ball game, they gave you one of those that you're one of the cool kids. So, yeah, I just had one of those on.
I just wanted to bring up, like, I'm just going to beat this horse to death. Like, little Susie would not know the joys of not having cancer if she didn't get cancer. So it's just, I mean.
Yes, that little high is worth all the lots of low. Little high worth lots of the little low. Yes.
I bet she's really looking back before she died, like, when I didn't have cancer, that was so great. I'm so glad I didn't have cancer for so long.
Yeah. Now that I've had cancer and died from it, I now appreciate how great life was.
Because how else
having cancer and dying from it.
Yeah. Now, how else would I learn bravery? Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even mention what you talked about earlier, but the allowance of greater goods also allows for greater evils. And so if they want to use, like, oh, well, fights exist so somebody can be brave, there's cowards too. And so it doesn't, like, it's not solving the problem. It's like, oh yeah, we have greater good. No, you've just made evil worse too. You've, like, if we're going virtue ethics, like, you've just made stuff worse at the same time. So that's the only point I want to make about
that. Has Alpha follows you anywhere?
No, I'm like a regular at his channel. I should be a mod. I know.
Yeah.
Hint, hint, Alpha, if you're listening, I'm always there to support.
I'm pretty sure.
I'll rein in those rowdy chats you have over there.
Yeah. When I first started doing live streams, I made a whole bunch of people in the community that I knew, like yourself. I'm pretty sure I made you a mod, like, before I even started doing live content. And I've only put in 1 or 2 more people since then.
Yeah, mine went, like, my first day or second day, I was like 20 people are mods, and now I scatter them out. I'm more choosy, but
all right, let's see what else Brand's got to say.
Susie's parents are horrendous because we don't know where else to point if we don't want to blame God. So we typically blame them. You didn't have enough faith. Oh, this was a test. You failed. God wanted you to learn something from this. Oh, God's bringing her home. It's better for her. Trust me. You don't know what was going to happen to her later in life. And all of these other stupid excuses. I've been told lately I overdo the word stupid. I am sorry. This religion overdoes the concept of stupid, and I don't know what else to call it. Where I do agree with Ian Baker here is God shouldn't intervene.
Yeah. One of the things...
It brings the stupid for sure.
One of the things I find difficult about being an atheist and being an atheist that is spreading the gospel of atheism is how impossible it is to be as knowledgeable as Brandon is, to be as knowledgeable as I assume you are, and to be as stupid and knowledgeable both at the same time as I am. And one of the problems I find is how not to be an angry atheist when you have this point counterpoint message in which you justify good and you ignore the evil. When you justify the slave and ignore it as evil.
Well, especially if you bring up a counter example that is, or not a counter, but a parallel example in the real world, and they're like getting all infuriated, like, I can't believe that's happening. Like, that happened in your Bible and you support it. Like, like the South was so bad with slavery, but you think this slavery is good. So, like, they know it's bad. You can throw it in their face. It's just not objectively bad. It's the definition of subjective. Why are they claiming objectiveness?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's only good if God does it. Like, if God owns slave is good. If God murders people is good. If God does this. But if it happens in any other context, bad, 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 bad.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect. Yeah. Yeah, my issue is I don't want to do this if it makes me angry. And I find it hard to do this for fun and to care about it, to not see how the reason I am perishing is because fools perish because they think the thing that you think is the good thing is foolish. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say what I just said.
I get it without, and also not having any way to actually show them because they won't listen, or vice versa. Like, I'm more than willing to be swayed over to the side of whatever religion if they have anything convincing, but they just don't.
Yeah. Spooky. Spooky's here. Has Spooky been here long, or did I just... Yeah, this is foolishness to those who are perishing. I am perishing not because it's foolishness, but because it's foolishness. Essentially.
Yeah, I'm perishing because everybody perishes, so it should be foolish to everybody. Yeah. Everybody dies. I don't care if you're a Christian or not. Like, oh, I don't stay dead. Yeah, right. But you still die. I don't care if you stay dead or not. You're perishing. You perish. Yeah.
So it's so, and I see the frustration in Brandon when it comes to this point. How does he maintain the intellectual edge while being so infuriated by the one-sided common sense, or the no-sided common sense, maybe? Like the special pleading. My God's amazing. See, it saved, what was the boy's name? It saved the boy from cancer, but the girl that got cancer in the same scenario, well, she's in a better place. It's
if I had a bet, it was probably a Timmy or
heads
Johnny.
I win, tails you lose.
I have a suspicion about Brandon. I don't know this, but I'm guessing that he's probably a public speaker. His job.
I didn't hear that. You toasted.
Oh,
you
crap.
Toasted on me.
Hello.
No, I can't hear you. It's really.
At all, if the goal is free will. But if you're going to use free will as the excuse for suffering, but then you're going to have a God that intervenes often to alleviate suffering, supposedly, then it doesn't work anymore. You no longer have free will, and you still just have a ton of suffering with a very selective God. I'm almost excited that someone put every bad excuse and argument into one video, so we can just make this kind of my little magnum opus of the problem of suffering and evil. Please like it, share it, watch it all the way through, and comment on it so that we can have something combating all of the harm this video is doing by reinforcing for many Christians that are otherwise good people that are confused by their God and their Bible, but they want to believe the best, so they get the confirmation bias they need from this video and they move on like it's not a problem.
I'm right there with you, Brandon.
Am I here with you?
Hey, that sounds great.
All right, I just had to refresh.
Yes. Oh, that sounds amazing.
So what I was guessing before I zipped out, I have a suspicion that Brandon is a public speaker in his daytime job. It's just a guess, but he's just really good. Because you're asking how he maintains composure and is cool while dealing with these kind of hot button issues for deconverts. And that'd be my guess, because he's really good at this. He was good on his bookshelf show too.
Yeah, I came across some of his old book review stuff, and he was pretty good. He kind of, he worked on his craft a bit, much like I'm working on my craft. And
yeah, so that's just a guess. I don't know. Maybe it has nothing to do with his daytime job, and he's just naturally gifted. The leprechauns shine upon him.
Yeah, he does. He does look like do you remember the movie? I think actually it was drawing a blank. Let's move on. So one of the things that, if that's true, if he is a public speaker, and he's, do you know what kind of educational background he might have? What part of that tree he was a member of?
His religious background's Pentecostal. I don't know about his educational, but he does fucking read a shit ton, so.
Yeah. Huh. When did you ever go to Pentecostal?
No, I was I was willing to give them a shot during my downslide into deconversion because I was impressed that they were more spirit filled, and I came from we came from the same thing, a very fundamental Bible believing kind of by the book Church of Christ, and so it intrigued me.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe they have something that I'm missing out on, and it turned out I couldn't get into it. I tried to talk in tongues, and it just felt like I was making shit up and feeling forced to do it and stuff.
When I was around the age of 16, we went to I refer to as a Pentecostal light, where they kind of did the arms in the air swaying, but didn't do the speaking in tongues and didn't do the weird miracles or anything like that. I honestly don't even know what style of church it was. Being raised Church of Christ, there was no instruments, there was no anything. It was pound on the Bible, pound on the pulpit. I'm not even sure I'm not even sure. I think there was a microphone, but I think it was to record into a tape recorder. I don't think there were actually speakers in an auditorium. Everything was said with a projected voice.
You just have to have a really loud front man.
Yeah, I don't remember how big that church was, but I think the most I ever saw in the church was about 100 people, and most of the time there were somewhere between 65 and 70 in attendance. So it wasn't that big of an auditorium. Acoustically, anybody talking in a medium voice could probably fill the room with anytime you have those vaulted ceilings like that, the voice carries pretty well.
Let me ask you a question about your Church of Christ.
Yeah.
Did you just go to one congregation, or did you do a couple different ones?
From when my first memories of going to church were the church that my dad set up in the garage. We would go to another church every once in a while, and then we moved to an area where we went to a church. That church was an old Lutheran church that Lutheran church had built a new location, and they had gotten this old, beat up, run down. Last I saw, that church was now a theater. But once again, there wasn't well attended. If I remember correctly, there were only 15 to 20 people that would go to church there. This was a small town. I don't know. I don't know how big the population of that area was, but it was mostly farmers. And
the reason I asked, though, is when you went to the churches, did they have good singers? Because it was all a cappella, right?
Yeah. To me, it didn't sound like bad singing. When I go now, the thing is there's no replication for the churches. Maybe for the one that I was mentioning that was usually attended 65 to 75. That one was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I know they relocated the church. I don't know what the scandal was because I'd stopped going there, but there was some sort of scandal. They had a couple of ministers, and they had a cycle through, and then they just shuttered the church or sold it off to someplace else, built a new one in the outskirts. And I've never been to the other one.
I went to a couple different, I'm just going to talk about the main ones I went to as a teenage and an adult, but 3 main ones. One was horrible singing. I'm a big music person, so it's kind of important to me. The other one, a slightly bigger church, they were mediocre. Like, they had some powerful singers in there too, but since it was a bigger church, they were drowned out by a lot of not as good singers. But the last one I went to, more intimate congregation, really small, some of the best singers I've ever heard in live musicians. Like, And it was day and night doing the praise and worship stuff in the where the congregation was a bunch of good singers versus everybody just kind of monotone and off key and everything. And so I just wonder what the experience was over on your side of the thing, because it was a crapshoot over here. But I could tell you that, like, having good singers in the Church of Christ a cappella church, like, it made a huge difference about wanting to go there.
My uncle's a minister at one. Let me see if I can find, see if they've got a website and they've, recorded some of the sermons and singings and stuff like that. So the church that I was mentioning in the small town of Farmer, my best friend is a minister at a church in Texas, and I've come across his church, and it looks like a pretty decent size. And I've listened to some of the recordings. I mean, that sounds similar to my ear as what I grew up with in the church that had 65 to 75 in attendance all the time. I'm trying to find, I think it's Salem. No, that's, yeah, it is. Is that it?
You like to sing, Tux, or what?
No, I can't stand singing church songs.
I mean, not now, but when you were in there, were you a singer?
No, not really.
Oh,
not really. I didn't like it. I thought singing was stupid.
Stupid singing. Praise yourself, God.
Church of Christ. Let's try this one. No web address.
It's not a huge deal. I was just wondering about your personal experience over there, because I rarely get to talk to other Church of Christ deconverts.
Yeah. Salem Church of Christ. I think this is. I don't know. I am not 100% positive. This is it. I've never been there. Let's try to find the one that morphed into the church. There we go. Let's do this. Come worship with us. Oh, look at this. Get a good baptism going. I wonder if I see some familiar faces. Oh, there. Oh, we just got. Oh, yeah, I know him. Yeah. I recognize somebody here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's share this. Let's share this and see if we can explore it together. Because I know they always used to record the sermons, and bring them to the, the folks that are in church, what you call it, hospital bedridden.
He was even doing the hand movements, hand leading.
Oh yeah,
that's funny. Yeah, you got to keep tempo. I do that.
Sermons and more.
Did that.
Where do I start?
They have a nice looking website.
They do. It's so nice. Submit a question. Well, Bible classes and studies. Oh, sermons and more. I thought it was on sermons and more. So
now that you found your old church, you should probably be doing some reviews of these sermons. The devil tempted me to do it right there. That's right up your alley.
That's right.
Now you're looking for content.
I wonder if this is just the sermon. Faith Part 1. I don't feel like we're ready to move on to Faith Part 2. For better, for worse. This is pretty nice. Thief on the Cross. The friendship factor. Well, let's see what faith is.
Well, good morning.
I have no idea who he is.
See everybody here today, and
no music though.
Always thank you for the opportunity to give Ryan a break and come from a different.
I can just imagine Belt now.
So,
holy.
Ryan's level, but
I'm guessing they're probably not good singers.
Morning,
that's why.
So, thank you for being a part of this. I get the pleasure of sharing some good news before I start the lesson, and we'll openly embarrass our
Alpha says that they're copyright strike happy possibly.
Here.
Oh, really?
He said, just be careful. Christians are a fickle bunch.
Wow. A copyright strike?
Can you get copyright strike from somebody who's not on YouTube? Like, what if they're not on YouTube? Like, how will they know that you're watching their video?
I mean, is a sermon copyright strike? How is a sermon be copywritten?
I don't know. I think Alpha's just, he's scared because he just got slammed by somebody.
In terms of what faith is. And so I want to talk about what faith is not. And the first thing I want to tell you is that faith is not the opposite of reason.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not the opposite of that. Reason is sermons are copywritten.
By God. He's going to strike you down.
Let's look at this on YouTube's. Let's see what this says.
I agree, Alpha. Joel Osteen is a jerk.
So their YouTube page has 86 subscribers. Let's see if we can find a video of the whole sermon. Oh, Christ is alive. Oh, I know this. I know this preacher.
Well, maybe save it for some future content. I think we're coming up on 2 hours, Tux.
Okay. You're done? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I'm probably wrapping it up. But I expect to see a well-edited video of your former pastor.
In order to dedicate their life to preaching the gospel, or those who sacrifice so much of their time and their energy to shepherd the flocks.
So I remember this. I remember this preacher. Very nice guy. Cares. He cares.
Leave a comment. Hey, remember me?
Yeah.
You guys might be worshiping Satan. Give me an alibi.
It's a perfect time then to bring up the bow tie 8. Do I have bow tie 8 in here? Oh, I've got to have it somewhere. There it is. That's right, folks. Just looking for the receipts of the prevention of deception. Did you make sure that the God Yahweh El, that there's a receipt that this guy isn't the evil gun? Jesus exists as a supernatural being, that the Holy Spirit is actually on the good guy's side, that Satan, the devil, demons, bad angels, good angels, heaven and hell, if any of these exist. And then if you can demonstrate any one of these exists, we'll also need the alibi that they aren't in cahoots with the deceivers, that the DVL can't be in cahoots with God Yahweh El. Jesus, the Holy Spirit, didn't write any single word of the Bible because angels, according to Revelation 12:9, are bad. So there you go. The bow tie 8. So So I feel like for our moment of Zen, we should have this preacher.
Well, I got a good one for you if you're looking for one.
All right, let's see.
I just dropped a short before I came out here, and it fits the motif of Brandon's talk.
Ooh, well, let's do it.
It's an old short from an old video, but it
preacher says here.
When I compare myself to those who have suffered or sacrificed so much to serve God, I think to myself, how can I hope to receive the same salvation as others who have given so much more than I have?
Wow. Oh.
As I look back on my life, rather than hardship, I see the many times that God has cleared the path for me in my life. And it seems only fair that I'll come up short in judgment when I'm compared to the hardships and the struggles that so many others have endured down through time. But this parable gives me hope. This parable describes the kingdom of heaven.
All right, I think I found some music.
It describes
No, that's...
Yep, that's pretty much it.
No, that's not good. That's not good at all.
That's pretty much what it sounded like, I think.
Yeah, no. I sent you something in your Discord if you want to put that up.
Oh, you know what? I don't have access to Discord on this computer. Yeah. Put it in the private chat.
I did on my phone. Crap. Just go to my channel. There's a new short on there.
Okay. Perfect. So, love to just email me, Alpha. Let me know what.
Organize it. He already asked me too, and I'm gonna do a voice for him, but he's just like, no deets, bro. What's the deets?
Yeah. So you don't want to do the moment of Zen with this right here?
Jesus, how I...
You're gonna go to hell for that one.
That's not good singing at all. That sounds like one of the other ones I was talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, I have no idea how many are in attendance. So if it's, roughly 60, it sounds like about 60. Yeah. What's this say? Some BA church music. I will serve him. Chester Baldwin. So good. See you, Alpha.
Bye, Alpha.
Right. So, how about that? Let's go to BS Lewis's channel and get our moment of Zen queued up.
You'll see a big fat dude in a fedora on the thumbnail.
That sounds good. It switched to C.S. Lewis.
And it fits in with the outro too, because it's also a church song. So it's a church song, and it's about the problem of evil, kind of. Wrapping that in a nice little bow tie for you.
Ooh. Here, let's do it this way. My channel, and then I can click here, and then do that, and that gets me to you. And it's a new short?
Yes, sir. My big fat guy in a fedora.
My shorts full screen is not working. Hang on a second. Let me refresh this a bit. Hang on a second. My short thing isn't working. Oh, I remember this.
Yeah, it's from an old video. I just needed to make content, so I put it on the short.
Does it need an update? Sorry, this is great. This is great. Nope, it's not working. Why isn't it working?
I don't think God wants everybody to watch this video.
Yeah. It's for some reason not working, but oh well. Real breakfast. Did it work? Did it start working?
I guess share screen. You're on the singing song thing.
Let me. There we go. We'll share this way. Actually, I gotta share this way. There we go. All right. B.S. Lewis featured in The Moment of Zen. Bowtie Bliss.
Bigger they are, the harder they fall. Some heads are gonna roll. Because Jesus so delicately, lovingly, sweetly, tenderly decapitates my enemy. So lovingly, so tenderly, so delicately decapitates my enemy. He's so lovingly. As I worship him, he starts loving on me and start decapitating my enemy. While he was loving on me, I didn't know he was decapitating my enemy. I was just hugging him and loving on him and receiving his love and affirmation. I heard a noise, I wasn't sure what it was. I think it was a head that rolled.
That fits the music theme, right? That guy was a better singer than the church you showed me.
Yeah, that was. Up from the grave he arose.
He arose.
All right. You got anything coming out shortly? I know most of your projects take about a month each, so I feel like you just came out with 2 back-to-back.
Yeah, so that should put me for like a couple months. I don't have to show up again.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like taking a little break. I'm pissed off of fucking YouTube right now. I put a lot of work in. Lately, I'm on a slump. They're not giving me any promotion out there, so nobody's watching my shit.
Yeah, because we're banished to the netherworld. Yeah. We gotta start talking about Trump and how much we love him.
Yeah, the right-wing algorithm thing.
And catch the right-wing algorithm.
Yeah, that's the plan.
I'm gonna stay. I think I'm gonna stay away from politics.
I don't blame you. Me too.
I would love nothing more than to just live. No, I'm already angry. The angry atheist.
I gotta be an angry political atheist too.
I don't plan on being angry politically. I would just like to say, I saw an interview today about Trump talking about Kamala Harris and her Senate interaction with Brett Kavanaugh on how much I think it was on Kentucky Atheist earlier today. How much nobody's ever received that kind of treatment. No one. And also I wanted to say was you realize you had a vice president when you were in office last time.
Yeah.
And that vice president was encouraged to be murdered.
Yeah. We forgot about that already.
Like, I don't think it gets any lower than that, right?
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
bring out a freaking noose or whatever they brought, a guillotine.
Yeah, they hung a I mean I only learned this from fake news, so it's probably not even true anyway. But
yeah,
according to some of the information that I saw that was fed to me by media outlets that are less than desirable from the mega side, I believe I heard the chanting and I saw the evidence of their intention.
Yeah,
like somebody had to premeditate that.
Somebody built a fucking gallows.
Somebody built a damn gallows in DC.
Or they just had it laying around their house. They're like, oh, finally I have to fucking use this. Damn.
I saw an editorial cartoon before J.D. Vance was announced as the VP candidate. And it showed Trump basically having a lemonade stand. VP, it was like VP 50 cents or something like that, and then there's a gallow that says "Hang Mike Pence" right next to the lemonade stand. It was so simple yet said it all.
It'd be funny is if you just took a bunch of clips of Trump and Pence together and you just like photoshopped Vance's face on it. Just find a bunch of like the greatest hits clips from the last presidency and put Vance's face on there, run it as an ad.
Yeah. Any new upcoming atheist or somebody you just found? You know, kind of like Scarlett, and I found her. She had 50 subs, and look at her now; she's got 2K.
Heliocentric. He's
heliocentric.
Bigger. Nobody's ever heard of him. I plugged him.
Heliocentric.
He looks like Justin Timberlake, and he does death metal.
What?
But his main atheist angle is he does church audits, where he goes to churches and then evaluates and rates them. And he does a fair job. It's not like he's just being an ass. He actually gives some good ratings. He seems like he's not an angry atheist, which is refreshing.
Is he on your community page?
Yeah, he's probably a couple things down. I think I give him a shout out maybe 4 or 5 posts ago.
Let's go to your community page.
Kind of larger channel. He's very well produced. He's very charismatic, and I'm surprised like he's not a bigger name in atheist circles. A lot of people I talked to never even heard of him.
Heliocentric.
Yeah. And I was pleasantly surprised.
8.9 thousand. He's got just under 9K subscribers. Holy schmoly.
Yeah. And his content's pretty damn good, well edited, well spoken, and even seems fair. He goes to some cult churches, but he also goes to some churches and he's like, yeah, these people are cool. I don't believe what they believe, but they're nice or whatever.
An atheist church?
He went to an atheist church.
What?
Yeah. All right. So there's some binge-worthy material for you for a couple days.
Looking up at the ceilings, inscribed on every wall was each of the 7.
I got to worry about copyright, you think, on some of this music, or is it just YouTube public?
Deadly sins written over and over and over again. The pastor walked in through the door, and it was a drag queen.
No.
Gay drag queen.
No.
Wearing drag. She brought him.
This is funny.
The worship team, except it was just a drum circle, and all they played was covers of Katy Perry songs.
No. It's pure DVL.
I don't listen to Katy Perry. I don't listen to Madonna.
And then the pastor served us communion, except it was live, literal babies.
Oh my. Oh, that's...
Yeah, I don't know why he's not more popular. Like, he's fucking...
I'm kidding, obviously.
I'm kidding, obviously, yes.
And he looks like Justin Timberlake, right?
And he does, yeah. Yeah.
That happened. Duh. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another thrilling episode of Atheist Church Audio. My name is Jared, and I'm an atheist, and this morning, I did the unthinkable, the impossible, the improbable. I went to an atheist church.
Those don't exist.
Now, atheists...
Actually, there are... I know in London, there is a... and I know that I've seen Dr. Josh, do something at Austin, that there's like an atheist church in Austin.
That doesn't surprise me. It's called the ACA.
Yeah, I think it was, or it was in Texas somewhere, but I know in London I've seen a service of an atheist, essentially an atheist church.
I think this guy's in the Midwest. I want to say Cleveland or Cincinnati or something. I don't know. I forget. Something like that, though.
Churches are kind of a meme in Christian circles.
What songs do you sing to kids at an atheist church? Like, no one loves the little children, all the children of the world.
The thing that actually prompted this, weirdly enough, were my Mormon friends in a response video to my video about a Mormon ward that I went to. The lovely folks over at Ward Radio made an interesting comment.
And what community does atheism have to offer? Like, let's get real. Atheism for these ladies would be wildly destructive, and atheism is the most toxic, crappy, garbage dump of a philosophy.
The gist of what they said was, you know, even though sometimes our congregations are imperfect, it's still better than what the atheists have. What are they going to do? Go to atheist church? And then I found this place. And I went to an atheist church.
A movement dubbed the Atheist Mega Church has arrived in San Diego.
So atheist church is a little bit of a misnomer. Technically, this is a secular congregation. This modest group of people is called
Sunday Assembly.
And they define themselves as a secular.
So why did he blurb that out like that?
He got the name wrong. It said
congregation that celebrates life.
I thought maybe there was a misuse of ass in assembly or something.
No, he's not dirty with his jokes, but you can tell it's good production value, right?
I've been programmed to see the world through BS glasses.
Yeah.
Our motto is live better, help often, wonder more. Now, I'm going to be straight up with you guys. I went to this very skeptical.
I didn't have high hopes for that one.
Because frankly, I thought it was going to be really contrived. You know, like a whole bunch of hippies getting together and singing Bon Jovi and pretending to be religious, you know, in a sort of like cosplay way. And I'm not gonna lie, I was so ready to just roll my eyes so hard at this entire experience. And I was ready to blast them. I was ready to give them crap and kind of shit on their whole shindig. But it was really good. It was really solid. And kind of like touching at times. I know, to the dismay of all the ortho bros who have come to my channel recently, you saw the Orthodox video and you were like, this close, we almost had him. Yeah, I know that all my Christian audience was just hoping I
Oh, that's brilliant.
It's funny.
Where's Alpha when you need him?
Yeah, I know that all my Christian audience was just hoping I would come and just like wipe the floor with these guys. But sorry, y'all, I call them like I see them. So this whole shindig happened in the city of Carborough. And if you're in North Carolina, you might know Carborough as the Portland, Oregon of North Carolina. It is a very weird city. Very beautiful and very interesting. I mean, it's like a hippie utopia. The people there are very friendly, if at times a little strange, but their whole vibe is community oriented. Everything is community oriented. Regarding the weird people there, after the church service, I went to a coffee shop to edit a video, and there was a dude on his phone for like 2 hours walking back and forth in like a monk's garb, and he was wearing a backpack with, I think, a penny board and a ukulele sticking out of it, and that just sums up the entire vibe of the city. Anyway, I park my car and I walk up to this community center. It was kind of like a building built onto like an apartment complex or like a community living center. I don't know. But it was just a general space that these people had rented out in order to have this gathering. Now, this entire thing should be framed while keeping in mind that this is only a once a month gathering rather than a weekly gathering. And that's specific to this community. I'm sure there are atheist churches that meet every Sunday. So I walk inside and there's a whole bunch of like round tables everywhere, and people are, chit-chatting, and there's a single projector on a chair, pointing at the wall. And then we started diving into it. Unfortunately, this time around, there was no music.
Where's the music? Where's a cute little tune?
I was told that often there's a band that comes and plays. They kind of jam out and play pop songs, which sounds silly, but is it really any more silly than just going to a concert? There was probably, 15 to 20 people inside. And then, in a fashionably late manner, the leader of the organization walks up. He introduces himself, explains the whole ceremony of the shindig, and then kind of gives a benediction. I'm not going to be able to quote it word for word, but it was something along the lines of, "We're here to celebrate life. We come from nothing, we will return to nothing. We're here to celebrate life together as we have it." And that's pretty good. Now, if you're a religious folk...
What did that say?
And that's pretty...
Ecclesiastic.
Oh, book of Ecclesiastes.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Now, if you're a religious folk...
Well, I'm a Baptist.
...and you're fuming at the ears, stay tuned, because I will offer some helpful criticisms for this organization, this congregation, this little... It's not an organization. It's like 12 people. I don't know. But sincerely, you got to give them credit where credit is due. If you're going to be an atheist, this is a really beautiful way to do it. The organizer stressed that even if you have other beliefs, you're welcome here. So it wasn't like you had to leave your belief in God at the door. If you're a Muslim, a Hindu, a rabbi, a Mormon missionary straight from the streets of Utah, whatever your background is, you're welcome. One of the other mottos that was mentioned was helping people live the best life they can. And just from the onset, it felt really good.
Yeah.
It felt really warm. Now, I love to pick on the atheist community. I've been to some really cringy atheist meetups.
Spencer recently found the r/atheism subreddit.
There's not a single religion that can survive these two words. Prove it!
That being said, I've also made a lot of really good friends in the atheist community here in Raleigh. I had very modest expectations for this whole thing.
He's in Raleigh? Maybe?
I guess North Carolina
was very low. So after the benediction, the speaker gets up. And just like the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Mormons, they have rotating speakers here. It's not like there's an atheist pastor on staff or anything. This is really just a group of dudes and friends getting together and celebrating life. So the speaker, I hope he doesn't mind me sharing his name and info, was Colin Ryan. And from what I can tell, he is an accomplished storyteller. And that was the whole point of his talk this morning. He gave kind of a PowerPoint presentation and an interactive demonstration of the power of storytelling. And this was much less of a sermon, and it felt more like a Bible study or a Sunday school lesson. It was very interactive, it was very communal, it was a lot of, question and answering and, good dialogue that was going back and forth. And so he shared a little bit about his own story and, how storytelling has meant a lot to him throughout his life and how it's helped him navigate the twists and turns of life. And he was asking us to think critically and challenge the way that we tell stories and experience stories. It was a really interesting discussion. It was kind of meta. It was like he was telling stories about how to tell stories and the impact that stories have on people and communities. And
I'm going to wrap it up. This is for everybody else to be a teaser. I put the link for Heliocentric in the chat. So if you like what you see, unless Tux is going to stay on and watch the rest of us without me. No?
Nope. Yeah. I'm out. It's midnight. Okay.
Well, it was
midnight in the garden of Wheaton, Illinois, and evil.
I appreciate you having me on. This was good.
No,
times.
Thank you for coming on. Thanks you for discussing something that I thought you'd be perfect to discuss, which you've already been perfecting your discussing.
I appreciate it. Anytime is one of my topics. So
I kind of wanted to do like a watch reaction type of thing when it came out, and I was busy. I was on vacation over the weekend and got home and the refrigerator smelled like, well, something had rotted in there. And so we were cleaning out the refrigerator trying to get rid of it. And, well, lucky for me, I had to do that instead of jump on the interwebs.
So no, you had to actually work instead of play, I guess.
Yeah.
God damn that work.
So,
it's a curse upon man.
Yeah. So that's my story. All right. Well, bow tie bless to all. Thank you, BS, and thank you for supporting my channel and helping me make some content. And find yourself a local atheist church and maybe do a review on it, as well as Heliocentric has done here.
I wish, dude. I have something to aspire to now.
Let's give him a like right here. Ding. Let's give him a subscribe. Ding. Let's give him a comment. Let's see. Is this... Drop a sense. Can't visit. I've been watching your videos since. Having a blast. You make good stuff. Glad to say, wow, this is a novella. Context for the curious. We've been small since COVID. They had about 50 plus per month, up to 70 in 2019. These groups can scale. Post-COVID, about 20 assemblies left. Huh. Wow. All right. Well, BS, your stuff is the best. I always enjoy your stuff and your suggestions. So thank you very much. Bowtie bless you all.
Bye, everybody.
Mm.